Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Geek with Dev. I'm bringing you once again another exclusive interview through Zoom. Today I am joined by Jesse Camacho. He plays Doug Brazelle in the Netflix hit series Locke and Key, which we just got news that it's being renewed for season 2. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much. And thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Of course, of course. So you are in the friend group, the Savini Squad, right?
Savini Squad, yeah.
So what was being on set with all those guys like?
First of all, it was so much fun. I'm very much like the character. I'm a big horror movie fan. I have that kind of club with my friends. So it was great. And, you're always a little nervous when you're joining a new show or a new clique. And, it was sort of trial by fire. Our first day was basically the scenes you see in episodes 1 and 2. But luckily, everyone was just so amazing and so nice. And within minutes, like we just had this chemistry. We understood each other. And I still talk to those guys like today. Like we're really, really tight. It was so much fun, man.
So as season 2 coming in, where do you hope to see the friend group go?
That's a great question. Well, obviously, I want to see more of them. I'm kind of hoping that we get, I really like doing the big cave stuff that we do in episode 6, where we kind of really get into the magical element of the show. Like we're kind of sucked in. I obviously want to see more of that. But I just want to, kind of get a deeper look at the group. Like, myself and Asha, we didn't really get to see a ton of their home life. I'd love to delve into that. But at the same time, I know it's really about the Locke family as well.
Of
So,
course.
I'm happy to keep things status quo, but I'd love to see more like fun Savini Squad adventures.
Of course. I mean, I always ask, when you don't have like the most screen time, but your character's still in the squad, like how would you feel about a backstory episode on the friends and maybe a couple backstory episodes on how you guys came to fruition?
Well, that would be awesome. I'm up for anything. That would be so much fun. But it's to me, the writers of the show, led by Meredith and Carlton, they're like the gold standard to me. It doesn't get much
Yeah.
better than that. So I kind of trust the process. Whatever they think is appropriate. I think that the squad was used pretty perfectly in season 1. You saw just enough of us. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. But as the show goes on, there's obviously room to really explore those dynamics and those backstories. So I'm not going to complain. I'd absolutely love to get some background on Doug and on Zadie. And, I definitely think with how season 1 ended, I won't come out totally spoil it, but I definitely think we're going to get more on Griffin's character. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun to explore as well.
So have they given you any information on season 2? I don't want to know, but I want to know if you know anything.
I don't know anything specific at all. They were kind enough to invite me to the writers' room when I went down to LA for the premiere back in February when we were all allowed to be around each other. I went into the writers' room, and they didn't give me anything. They hinted at stuff. They were saying there's going to be some fun stuff. We're excited to explore what we're going to explore, but they gave me no specifics. So I'm going to have to wait till I get the scripts, and I'm excited for that because that's always my favorite part of any job is getting the script and getting to see kind of what we're going to get to dip our feet into.
When you get the script for the first time, how many times do you just sit there and read that thing over?
Several times. I remember in season 1, in episode 6, when we go down and explore the caves, I knew very little, and the Savini Squad is not in the source material. It's not in Joe Hill's graphic novels, which are
Yeah.
incredible, by the way, if anyone hasn't read them. I had no idea. Like, I was like, am I going to die? Am I going to not die? And, it was very early on in the process. We weren't exactly sure what the longevity of the character was going to be. So I remember reading that script going like, okay, this is it. This is it. I'm not making it out. And was very relieved that I lived to see another day. But yeah, when I get those scripts, man, I tear through them, so fast. And then once I've kind of got that initial read where I probably missed half the stuff, I go back and I give it like a proper once over again.
That's awesome. And I think that because it's an adaptation of like a book, though these adaptations, when they're done right, and like you said, the showrunners do a fantastic job of it. They're magical, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
that this show is magical. And have you ever seen the movie Spiderwick Chronicles?
I did see it, yes, a while ago.
Yeah, so like there's just like a feel where like you're in like a mystical kind of world, and it's just like it really accomplishes that, and like it's so cool. But you are not new to television. You were actually on Less Than Kind
Mhm.
back in 2008, and that was like that was the like the golden years of like teen shows. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lock and Key in terms of like shows that I'm, a huge fan of and a show I would watch. Booking Lock and Key was absolutely a dream come true and has become definitely a career highlight for me. But Less Than Kind was probably the experience that shaped me the most as an actor and as a person. Being sort of it was an ensemble, but my character being sort of the center of the show in a way was just a really amazing experience. And I started on that show when I think I was 16, and we
That's
did four
crazy,
seasons
man.
over, yeah, four seasons over 5 years because we had crazy stuff that happened. That show switched networks. We lost a cast member. It was a very tumultuous experience, but so much fun. Like all the tumultuous stuff was like network behind the scenes stuff that was so far above my pay grade. But yeah, having that experience was just, yeah, being part of a team like that and really becoming a family really prepped me for coming onto Lock and Key, where I was sort of on the flip side. I was more of a peripheral person kind of coming in, and I was so relieved when they were so welcoming and lovely to me. It was something that I tried to do on Less Than Kind and was thrilled when, they do it even more so on Lock and Key.
Have you ever thought of doing any producing yourself, making any? Have you ever dove into that world of creating films?
Yeah, I really enjoy writing. I'm not very good at it, but I like doing it, and I'm actually developing a show with one of the creators of Less Than Kind. That sort of, it's not like about me, but it's based on me as a person. Being an actor. At times struggling to pay the bills while being quite heavy set, and how that affects my life in every area in a way. So I really enjoyed writing. Directing, I really like the idea of it. The thinking about doing it is really exciting, but I'm just so technically inept. Like I feel like I would be pretty good with the actors, and then when they'd be like, "Okay, cool, what kind of shot do you want here?" and I would just be like, and I wouldn't know what to do. So it intrigues me, and I'd like to do it, but I'm just not quite there yet. I've produced little shorts and stuff, but that's really when just a bunch of friends got together and everyone kind of carried equal weight. I'm not sure that I was like a big wig on it or anything, but the filmmaking and television making as an art, I'm really interested in almost every aspect of it.
So, well, you found your interest in that when you were really young. When did you first kind of think, this is what I want to do? It's probably before you were 16, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, way before. Well, I had I guess an advantage, or I think it was sort of in my DNA. Both my parents are actors as well,
Yeah.
so I sort of, yeah, came out, and around the time where I could start speaking, I knew it was something that I was really interested in. And from the age of like 5, I was asking my parents, like, I really want to do it. I want to do it. And they were sort of going like, "You sure?" There's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of financial uncertainty and all this kind of thing. But I was like, "Nope, this is it. I want to do it." And finally, when I was around 8 years old, they were like, "All right, well, let's give it a shot." And they've been super supportive ever since. Not stage parents, but like super
That's
super supportive. Yeah.
that's like you don't hear a lot of parent like when people are born into families where both the parents are actors, a lot of the times they're trying to get their kids to be actors, which I think is fantastic that you got to choose it by yourself and kind of dive in there on yourself.
Yeah, they were great, man. They like they always say, you're driving the bus, so it's kind of whatever you want to do. And if anything, I think that they were like carefully trying to steer me away from it, like because it's just really is feast or famine when you're an actor. And I've been lucky and I guess unlucky enough to experience both those things to the extreme.
That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about the actual. See, I bump back and forth so that we're not always talking about the same thing. A little bit about auditioning for Lock and Key.
Yeah, with the audition process for Lock and Key, I had actually, um, well, Lock and Key sort of had a long road to getting adapted. It was a Fox pilot many years ago that didn't get picked up, and then there was a Hulu pilot that they did, I think 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago. And I had originally auditioned for that Hulu pilot for the role of Rufus, which Kobe Bird ended up booking, and he's incredible. I mean, that was just the right choice every day of the week. But yeah, then about a year later, I heard they were redoing it, and I got the breakdown, and I read the kind of the description. I was like, oh my god, this is me. Like, I get this. There's a lot of auditions you get where you're like, okay, this is a stretch. I got to really work on this. This one, I kind of was like, I just got to memorize this and put as much of me as I can into this. So I went to the store and I bought a pack of goldfish crackers, and I did the scene where we're watching the movie in episode 1. And I just sat there and kind of ate the goldfish crackers. And yeah, there's a great casting person in the room, Millie Tom, who was wonderful. And then I heard like a week later that they were looking at me, and it was just really exciting.
That's so cool, man. So I'm gonna go to a couple kind of fan questions, people who like Locke and Key. So these are the questions that I kind of ask near the end of the interview, like things like, who do you think is more like their character? Some stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so who's the most like their character? I think I'm pretty close. I would say Jackson, who plays Bodhi, is really close. He's got this amazing, like, adventurous energy, but he's wicked smart. Emilia, who plays Kinsey, is not like Kinsey. She's super sweet and the nicest person. Not that Kinsey's not, but Emilia's not reckless like Kinsey is. Who else I say is similar to their character? I would say maybe before the end of season 1, Griffin Gluck is kind of similar to Gabe. He's a really nice guy, really funny, wicked sharp. But I would say it's probably me or Jackson is probably the most similar to their character.
Right on. And I think you were talking about the character Bodhi, and I think that the fact that you've got the young guy that the young people can look to and kind of relate to, like when I watched Spiderwick Chronicles, I related to what's his name? I know he's just Bates. He's Norman Bates now.
Freddie Highmore's character.
Freddie, yeah. So, and then there's also the teens, right? So this show, you can watch it as a younger kid and still connect with characters, and you can watch it as a teen and still connect with characters, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's very much in that Stranger Things kind of sketch where you've got the kids and then you've got the teenagers and then you've even got some adult stuff with the great stuff that Darby does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I even think we shift a little younger than Stranger Things. I think we're a little more kid-friendly than Stranger Things, although there's some stuff that happens that's definitely spooky and inappropriate. But yeah, I think that's really one of the gifts that the writers did with their adaptation, because the graphic novels are, I always say, pretty perfect. But if you adapted them straight, like as they're written, it would be like super dark, and it would really only be for a specific audience that isn't kind of part of the demographic that the show's about. So it would be kind of a weird mix if they did a straight adaptation.
Yeah. Now, did you read the graphic novels?
I did when I got cast. I'd heard of them before, but I hadn't read them. And then as soon as I got the job, I ordered them and I read them in like one sitting. They're so good. Like, they're terrifying. They're funny. They're full of twists. Like, anyone who hasn't read them, read them. Like, absolutely read them.
I didn't actually read the novels. I'm going to cut this out, but once the novels end, do they continue going on past where the show ends?
Like the first season of the show, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's. I think that it's kind of a weird mix, actually. The time frame of the books, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, takes place over about a year. The first season is also about a year, I would say, or almost a full school year. But the graphic novels, there's a lot of story that they haven't gotten to yet. So I think the show is just doing this, maybe the same kind of stuff over a longer period of time. But it also diverges a lot. And eventually the show is going to be creating its own path completely, I would say. But what's cool is that they've got Joe Hill, very much, a part of the writing or the creative experience. So it's very much, the same DNA.
Sweet. And then one more question before I kind of wrap it up. If there was like a dream show, this might be hard for you to think about, but I like challenging my guests. If there was something absolutely that you'd love to be on, what's a show that you think that suits you?
Well, again, along the lines of Locke and Key, I'm a huge Stranger Things guy. Like that's a show that I would absolutely die to be on, and I kind of feel like I sort of accomplished that with Locke and Key because I really do feel like they're similar. But there's so many shows out there. I also really I love those kind of fantasy shows. Like Stranger Things. I was a huge Lost guy when I was in high school. That was sort of
no way.
my religion. Yeah,
I
love
love
Lost.
Lost.
Carlton Cuse, the creator of Locke and Key, was the co-showrunner on Lost. So that was like what I was most excited about. I don't even think he knows that I was as big a Lost fan as I was.
That's insane.
So this really kind of checked all the boxes. But, if I'm going to get I guess, I already kind of accomplished my dream, but if I'm going to reach even a little further, I like shows that are, as I said, kind of character driven, like Master of None. And there's so many of them that are great. So I like those really, I call them perspective shows, point of view shows. So yeah.
So you're telling me that you got the opportunity to sit in and fanboy, is that what we're gonna call it, over one of the Lost creators, and you didn't sit there and constantly ask him questions about that ending?
To sit, I've had lunch with him. I've got to work with him on set, and I think I may have been brave enough to tell him that I watched the show, not that I was obsessed with it. I was on the forums. I listened to the podcast he did with the other creator. I don't think he knows that I'm that big a fan. So Carlton, if you're watching, there you go. It's my big surprise coming out as a Lost fan party.
Thank you for joining me on the show. And if you'd like to plug anything, any social media, any projects, you have the floor.
Oh, thanks, man. Right now I think the big priority is season 2, and obviously waiting until we're all safe and that's we're able to do that. But yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I tweet a lot, and I might have one funny tweet a year, so that should tell you what my batting average is. But that's at Jesse115115, which was my homeroom from high school, and I've never updated it, so that's pretty sad. And on Instagram, I'm under Jesse JD Camacho. I've got some fun behind-the-scenes stuff on there, and the occasional embarrassing picture. As much as I can, if I can make a fool of myself, then I've accomplished my goal.
Right on, man. Thank you.